welcome. This is Jen with it's Gen Zen, or
it's Zen Jen Coaching.
Thank you, because no, it's really funny because I have another friend who goes under like the same thing, but it's kind of a little bit different. Yeah. And her name is Jen, and it's like the whole Zen with Jen. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna miss this.
Everywhere I go, people just call me Zen Jen.
Yeah, she's actually a yoga instructor, so I might get her on here one day.
I love it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you do, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I am a holistic health coach and also a Reiki master. Everything that I do involves our energy, balancing the energy, like finding your inner Zen. And really, this is all because I think stress comes at us from every direction. We have external stresses. If you overthink as I do, there are internal stresses. And so it's just sort of developing a healthier relationship with the things that stress us out, whether that is our relationships, our jobs, our finances, all of the things. And then also creating a healthy lifestyle, eating well, moving our bodies, like doing all of the wellness practices that really lift us up and elevate our vibrational frequency. And everything that I do is through a spiritual lens. So, we kind of talked about this last week when we chatted, but I had this massive spiritual awakening in my mid-30s that really kind of connected the dots for me between emotional well-being, stress, the things that happen in the universe, and how that affects us physically in our bodies, and really tuned me in to kind of listening to the signals that my body is constantly sending me so that I can make the best choices for myself and help others do the same.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's a lot of disconnect because of the busy lives we lead just as humanity. There's a huge disconnect between our intuitive selves and really following that voice.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like kind of clearing up the noise that's in our head, right? So that we can listen more deeply to the heart and really allow our hearts to guide us and to live more in alignment with the things that drive passion and purpose and help us feel really, really good.
I'm gonna go get my dog because he will bark the whole time. Give me a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's so funny because I'm a part of this networking group with women, and one of the women who's also an administrator, her dog is always barking whenever we get on video calls. So I'm like cracking up because I feel like this happens all the time.
All right, I'm back. All right. Sorry, I missed some of the conversation.
I was saying, there's another woman that I do like video calls with regularly. I'm in this like female entrepreneurship group, and we're like 4 or 5 admins. And every time we get on camera to talk, her dog is always barking in the background. She's like, he never barks except for when I'm on this call.
Oh yeah, if I come down into because I'm in my healing and reading space right now. Anytime I come down here, they're like glue. They're like right there. So he was like, Mom, are you working? Like I could like totally sense that. Like, I don't want to miss out. If you're working, I want to be there.
Yeah. Well, they feel the energy, right? So they like want to be a part of that, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's really wonderful. And the one that's actually was like yelping and barking, especially when I'm doing the energy work, he is literally leaning right up against me almost every session. So and or I'll come home, I'll do readings and I'll come home and he'll start barking at me and I'm like, okay, I'll go outside and smoke cleanse. Like, it's like, you picked up something, Mom, I don't like it.
I know, they can tell. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, they really can. So they're, I'm grateful for them because, like I said, they're the ones that give me the heads up sometimes. But
yeah. I have a Reiki studio, and I call it the Zen Den in downtown Westfield. And I share space with a psychotherapist, but she has a cat who has lived there for like years. So there's this office cat that basically like is part of the healing environment. Like literally will just go up to people and give them love, and it's like the cutest thing. And I'm totally allergic, but I love the cat anyway and I'm like so happy that it's there. But it's like they can sense, you know, people who have a healing light. They can sense good energy.
Absolutely.
They can also sense those who need, you know, the love and the energy. Mm-hmm. And they're just like wonderful to have in an environment.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. So who would be your, like, who do you work with the most?
Yes. So I work with a lot of professionals, honestly, who are so stressed out. They're usually like working a full-time career and also a parent and trying to do all of the things. But the problem is they're missing out on that self-care. And so to do our best work in our jobs and to give our best to our family and to our friends, we also need to take, you know, really good care of ourselves and our own energy. So I work with many different people at different stages of their journey, but I love working with people who are sort of just getting into trying all the new things in the wellness space and like kind of seeing what sticks and what works. Because I love being a part of that exploration and process of like discovering like what really lights you up. And then people who have been doing the work for a long time and just need, you know, to balance themselves out. I think even the best of us, the most enlightened people, go through these seasons where we just need support and guidance, and we can get in our own way and kind of get stuck. So it's like those people who are ready to get out of the way, those are my people.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so what started you to what started this for you? What started your journey?
So I used to work in fashion, and
Same.
I was living, and I was like living out of a suitcase for a while, kind of traveling 70% of the time. I was a buyer, and I was on 24/7. I was never taking care of myself and my, you know, self-care needs. I was on the road, so I was like eating and drinking and like never exercising or doing any of the things that felt good. And after a while, it just all bubbled up, and I was feeling sick and tired all the time. And so at one point, I started getting really bad chronic back pain, and that was like the needle, or whatever it's called, the straw that broke the whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The camel's back. And so I started down this journey of like, I thought physical therapy was the answer, and that didn't work for me. And so my boss at the time was like, I know this amazing acupuncturist. He'll fix your back in like 30 seconds. And I was like, I don't know, because I had like tried it before and it was just okay. But eventually the pain got so bad that I was so desperate, and I was like, give me his number. And I booked an appointment immediately. And I walked into his office, and the moment that I met this man, like the second I laid eyes on him, I don't even think he opened his mouth yet. It was like my whole life flashed before my eyes, and I knew he was going to change my life. And he did. So not only did he cure my back pain in like probably 3 sessions, but he also sparked this massive awakening. And he asked me one question that did it. Or no, he made one statement rather. And I think it was something along the lines of, you're living in the past. And I was like, I am not. And I started like really getting into my head about it and like trying to prove him wrong and all this stuff. And it turned out he was right. I mean, I think we all live in the past. Right. And the past really governs our nervous system and our automatic responses. And so I was just so stuck in those automatic responses that I was unhappy. I was living a lifestyle that didn't really feel fulfilling. I was self-sabotaging constantly, and I just literally woke up. It was probably like several months of a roller coaster of like all these things like rising to the surface. Lots of emotion, lots of pain coming to the surface. And it did that so that I could finally face it and heal those parts of myself. And it really made me realize, like I said, how interconnected our stress, our emotions, the way we care for ourselves, how we show up, like it's all intertwined. And it set me off on this both wellness and spiritual journey. And I, kind of explored a million different kinds of modalities and changed my diet and my lifestyle completely. And it really shifted my entire life to the point where I eventually left my career in fashion, got into health coaching full time, and then probably about a year in, I decided to explore Reiki, and I've been doing that ever since. So I've been doing both for about 4 years now, and could not even imagine going back to the way that things used to be.
Yeah, it's really interesting how once we start on this like spiritual entrepreneur path that it's like I can't even imagine like what it used to be. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing. Like I used to get up at like 5:30 every morning and catch a bus or a train into the city. And, I mean, yeah,
it's exhausting.
Yeah. And it's exhausting just thinking about it now.
Right. It's not even just exhausting waking up at 5:30 a.m. It's exhausting doing things that you don't love.
Right.
It's exhausting, like not following your heart and your passion and not, I don't know, like doing the things that light you up all the time. And so, like, obviously we all have a responsibility and like, we live in a society where you sort of need money to live and to thrive. But at the same time, I was like living this life where I was so out of touch with my soul. And it was like just so magical returning to myself and like now helping others do the same. And like, I don't know, I'm just having so much fun with it, and I'm exploring other avenues that I've shared with you. I'm also like getting in tune with my Akashic records, which is like real soul work. And just like having fun learning. I feel like I have always been a student of life, but now I'm like just living with such wonder and like really just exploring all the things. And every time I feel called to do something, like truly called, I'm answering the call. Absolutely. And there was a point in my life where I didn't do that. Yeah. So it's just like amazing what's possible when you start to listen to your heart and to like all the signs that are happening outside of you to really follow that path and that journey toward, I guess, wholeness and well-being, but also just like your soul's evolution.
Yeah. I mean, and there's something definitely in the fact of like connecting with nature, where it's like when you connect with nature, it's almost like you become that more plugged in.
Yeah.
And I'm really discovering that lately. Like all I just want to do is be outside. Yeah. Like I just want to be outside. I want to be in nature. Yeah. I want to see the birds. I want to like.
Yeah, it's so grounding for your energy. Like just to connect with the trees.
Yeah.
And like to even like we're in the season of fall and I'm looking outside my window and like all the leaves are falling. It's so indicative of how we should be living our own lives and like really following those cycles of like right now is a moment where we could all afford to let go a little bit. Like everyone I'm talking to is just feeling like this heavy weight and burden. And like imagine if we could just shed some of that the way the trees shed their leaves.
Yeah.
How much lighter and freer we'll feel.
Right. And that was another thing too, because it was I literally think I was watching like it may have been like Peter Steele, like of all people, an interview. Typo negative. I don't know if he's passed on now, but he was just like saying something about like the fall, and even like there's even it's a time of year that, because they had an album called, I think, October Rust, and that's exactly what it was. It was him, and he was referring to like how, the leaves are changing on the trees now, and they're falling, and there's like even beauty in death. And
yes,
like, but when we look at death in that manner, like on a deeper level, it's change.
right,
All it
exactly.
is transition.
Yeah.
So
And like
there's
life
beauty in
is
transition.
change. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
life is change. We're always transitioning and evolving and growing. And we're always like facing these sometimes like really difficult endings, but like to really process that ending means you get to have like this absolutely beautiful beginning. And it's taken me so long to really see that and appreciate it and embody it. And like if I feel like if we're more intentional about doing that with the seasons, there's just so much power and beauty behind like really embracing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of things have changed even for me. I don't know if you follow like the Ayurvedic traditions, but like
Mm-hmm.
eating with the seasons
Yep.
is phenomenal. Like I just started doing it over the summer, and it was the first time I ever did it. And I've been called for years to try eating Ayurvedically, and thinking like I just would keep getting downloads to be pushed towards it, but
Yep.
it was never it was there wasn't something out there that was easy enough to say, okay, eat this, buy this, do this. And I found an app that does it, and it's amazing. And
Yeah.
just basically how there's even another level of how in tune I've become
Yeah.
to everything and
Absolutely.
with my body.
Yeah, I think when we listen to our bodies, like, yes, I feel like all these different systems, like Ayurveda, human design, like numerology, whatever it is, the chakra system, they're like such great sources for information that help us make sense of like what our body is already telling us.
Yeah.
So when we can really dial in and like eat with the seasons and eat the produce that is like has the highest nutritional value that is like of the season, we just feel so much better, so much more enlivened, and our vitality grows and our energy starts to flow. It really does make such a difference. And I would even say, like, I actually one time did this wellness retreat in Arizona and like worked with someone who was like an Ayurveda expert. It was really cool, actually. And I discovered my doshas and how to eat according to your doshas, and also like different practices or styles of massage that made sense to doshas. And so for me, eating less raw things and more cooked, warm foods is easier on my digestion, but also from a massage perspective, like doing warm oils in my joints, like that kind of massage is like nothing I've ever experienced. And I didn't even realize how my body like needed something like that or would respond to something like that. So I think it's really cool when you can explore all of these different kinds of methodologies and like pull from it the things that actually work for you and feel good. So you can really start to dial into like, how do I feel my best in mind, in body, in spirit, and really start to implement some of those practices on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a huge difference. It's unbelievable. And I enjoy all the different systems as well, like that, like the astrology, and because it's just another tool to explain, and understand yourself on a deeper level.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I would even say, like, we haven't kind of gotten into you and your work and the stuff that you do, but even from a tarot perspective, I think it's such a beautiful way to tune into your intuition. And, like, we all have soul teams and spirit guides. Whether you feel connected to them or not, they are there. And for me, it's like such an incredible way to like dial into my soul team and to like really kind of hear from them and receive support from them. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know if you
it's
want
the
to talk
meeting
about
it's like the meeting in the conference room. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it's really great. And there's times where sometimes I'll do a reading for somebody and it's all over the board, and it's because it's almost like this is their opportunity to speak and everybody's coming at me at
Yes.
once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like when you're really dialed in, you aren't surprised at like some of the things that come through. Like, you know, we were just talking about nature, and I literally just yesterday was walking in nature, and I get signs from animals in nature constantly.
Same.
And it's funny because my friends will call me and be like, I saw this thing in nature. There were 4 of them. What does that mean? And like, I help people decipher like what these signs and synchronicities really mean and why they're showing up. But so anyway, I have this thing with butterflies. They are my spirit animal. And I asked the universe for a sign for something very specific. And so 3 butterflies came to me. They were like following me on my walk. They were like playing with each other. And they like kept following me for a while. And I was like, I hear you. So it's just like really cool when you can be in tune with something outside of you, and you know, like you're never really alone. You're constantly guided and supported. So whether you have that on your own or you see someone like you who can like read tarot and connect in with those guides, it's really, really cool and special.
Yeah. And lately I've actually been finding ways to incorporate the tarot into deciphering. So instead of like using, because I was like, oh my gosh, how much more am I going to cram into my brain about like animal symbolism and you know, numerology and this and that and the other. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't need to. I already know the language of tarot.
Yeah.
And maybe all of these other signs coming at me is asking me to just decipher it in tarot, but in real life. And that's really what's been happening. I mean, I went out on a walk, well, several walks this week, and it was like really strange because I usually don't see any more than 2 or 3 crows. And on 2 occasions, I saw 8 of them.
Wow.
And then today I saw another 5. And it was like, whoa. And then all of a sudden, like, I just start, like, I see the number, and then all of a sudden I'll hear a tarot card in my head. And that'll be like the message that I'm trying to, that they're trying to get to me. And I had a butterfly literally fly around me yesterday.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, and I see Rock That Jewelry said they asked for a sign yesterday and their receipt said 1333.
Wow.
These 3s are my number, so I love when I see that. Yeah, I think that's so special when you can also like recognize that it's not always black and white. And so this is what I learned through just playing with tarot. Like, even if you get the death card, right? It's like not always a bad thing. Right. It's like how you interpret it and how it fits into your life. And looking at the gray area that makes the most sense. And so helping people figure that out is so beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And we all have our different way of interpretation because it's all about our life experiences. So we'll look at something in one way, or even the kind of our personality, like how we are, whether we're more like optimistic or pessimistic, like where we sit on that spectrum, you know, will also change how we're perceiving certain messages we're being given, whether it be the tarot or anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I find that I'm constantly picking up information and signs everywhere that I'm sort of like piecing together constantly. And so I could listen to a podcast or pick up a book that I haven't read in a while, just on the page that I need to see when I need to see it. And like, sometimes the messages aren't always for me. Like, I'll have a client come in and the exact thing that like they need support with, I just read something about, or like something just clicks the dots. And so it's like pretty magnificent when you can see all those little things and like pull it all together in a way that really helps people.
I have to pick him up because
he's like, don't
nudge.
ignore me.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, I think that's what's really starting to pop for me recently is finding the other messages, finding the messages in other things rather than just, the cards themselves.
Yeah. And I would say also the thing that I love is, yeah, I'm here to guide people, right? But I'm not just the teacher, I'm the student too. And a lot of times I'll be having a conversation with a client and I'll give them, some guidance and they'll, leave and be on their way. And like the moment they walk out the door, I'm like, holy shit, I needed that also. And so it's like, I don't know, just kind of looking up and paying attention and like really sometimes listening to your own advice is the best way that you can serve.
See, I told you, he always wants to be involved. He's always here.
Yeah.
No, and that really even does happen to a lot of us as readers too. I haven't really quite experienced it. I mean, no, I can't say that. I have experienced it on both ends of the spectrum as a reader and a healer. That there is validity to the fact that you attract the people that need you and vice versa, because there's sometimes that there's people that come to me with issues and it's like, oh, I've been there. I know where this is coming from, or I know, and it's almost, I feel like it's a couple things that we're helping them through a situation that we have experienced with, but we're helping them on a spirit level. Like, it's not me telling them what to do. It's getting those messages from guides, but it's also a bit of us maybe healing that last little bit that we didn't get over.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize that it's also probably to sometimes show us how far we've come.
Yes. Yeah, I love that last part. For sure. And I feel like the healing journey isn't linear. It never really ends. And so, no, like, we could go back to the same issue over and over, just through a different lens, or like it's more of a spiral. So it's like at a way different level that we're like touching it and healing it. And yeah, I think that's totally valid. Like, we have been through a lot of our own stuff that can help other people. And so I always try to tell people, like, if you've been through something difficult and you've overcome it, share it with other people, because you don't really know what other people are going through, but everyone is going through something. And chances are, if somebody is crossing your path, it's for a reason. Like, there is this sort of vibrational connection and a reason why they came into your space. And so sometimes just by sharing your own story and what you've been through and how you overcame it can really help connect the dots for another person. Like, I will say I've done a lot of group healing as a client and as a facilitator, and it is always just so beautiful to see how, like, a shared experience can create such a difference in so many people's lives. It's like this collective shift that happens, and it is amazing to be a part of.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, because it's like, you never really know what other people are going through. Like, I had, friends that I would go in high school, like every day we'd just go to school together and we'd have to, navigate teenage life. and they had stuff going on at home, and I had stuff going on at home, and or in our personal lives, or with at whatever. And it was like we didn't even get a chance to like talk about stuff like that or share those issues until we like literally met each other on Facebook 20 years later.
Right.
You know, and it was like, hey, you know, and then all of a sudden we feel open enough to start sharing things, and we're like, wait, I didn't know you had that problem. I had that problem too, or this was going on, or that was going on, and like you were going through this while you were, you know, while we were sitting next to each other in class, and you never like thought to talk about it. Right. Like, you know, and so there's, you know, a lot of, I think that like, you know, a lot of ways that we've been brought up that it was like, we don't talk about it, we suppress it. So we literally were like creating trauma over and over.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, chances are like somebody can relate to you on some level. Like we're never really alone in the experience. And if we can be vulnerable enough to share that with someone who we trust, or in a way that feels good, then that just creates space for them to do the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's probably like one of the most important things is that like, you know, sometimes, and I've like, it's really coming up lately, even on social media, where we're elevating to this point where we're elevating and there's like a loneliness because it's like we're suddenly so disconnected from our loved ones around us, some of us.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating, but there's more of us going through it, so we really shouldn't be lonely. Like that's, and it's a very like weird kind of energy.
Yeah,
right
it's a weird time, and I feel like COVID had a lot to do with it in the sense of it created this distance and separation, even though like we were all over Zoom and like still trying to connect because we craved that. But I think for many people, some people like really worked on themselves and their vibration changed, and so those relationships that once worked didn't work anymore and they faded away.
Yep.
And I think a lot of us are just trying to like reestablish like who is my tribe, like who do I feel good being around, who is going to be mutually supportive. We don't want one-sided friendships anymore. Like I think people are really clear on what they want out of their relationships, and now it's just a matter of like having the energy to go out and to be that person so we can attract those people back.
It's true. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's the thing, because that was almost like the line in the sand was the whole COVID thing, where it was like, even with me, I was like, hey, I could make the best of this, or I could just, you know, sit here, eat, and get fat. Like that was like that was like the discussion with myself. It's like, hey, look, you can either exercise and lose weight and really improve yourself, or you could just literally sit around and do nothing and get depressed. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
And
totally.
And it was really odd because I'm the overthinker, and it was like, hey, you know what? You mean I don't have to go anywhere? I can sit home all day and do all the things that I always wanted to do, that I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it. Sign me up.
Yeah, same. Yeah, but I think like when it comes to like periods of change or like difficult transitions, a lot of people tend to isolate or like withhold, and it's sort of like a form of energy protection, right? But at the same time, sometimes we pull back so much that we forget about the power of community and like being in real connection with people. Right. And I'm guilty of this myself. Like sometimes, you know, I have so much going on that like I need solitude in order to really like balance out my energy and remove what isn't mine. And sometimes I could do that too much. And so it's just like constantly reflecting on like, what is the state of my energy? Do I have enough of the connections and relationships that fill me up? And like, if not, then let me think about, what I can do differently right now to change that.
Well, and I think as energy workers and us having this connection, I think it makes us more sensitive so that we do need the downtime to separate and to kind of bring ourselves back to equilibrium. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I think there is like, this thing that's been popular and it's very accurate, but there are 7 kinds of rest that we need. Sometimes it is sort of that space from other people, but sometimes it is like, I find as an example, when I am working a lot and everything is so serious, it's like I'm missing that playfulness and that like fun energy. And so it's in those moments that I'm like, wait a minute, I need a girls' night, or I need to get people together and like do something really fun that like feels good, because I'm working way too much and like I've got to balance that out. And so it depends. Like, it's really about, like you said, kind of noticing, like, sometimes the solitude is what you need. And sometimes just being around other people in a lighthearted way that feels really fun is also important and what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what else was I gonna say? Do we want to talk about what we're doing in November yet?
Yeah, I would love to.
All right.
I'm really excited about
Yeah.
it. So, I have been doing these retreat style events in my space. So they're like 2-hour events where we kind of combine a couple of different modalities. And so on November 17th, I think that was the date, it's the Sunday, we're doing a 2-hour event. I'll let you talk about the tarot component, but it's basically going to combine tarot and Reiki and really kind of connecting you in with your intuition. I would even say with like your higher self and with your spirit team, in a way that is super grounding, but also really inspiring.
And as far as for my contribution, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the tarot, and just basically, it's going to be titled the workshop is going to be titled Demystifying the Tarot, and it's basically going to talk a little bit about the history of the tarot, and how we have gotten to the point where we actually use it as a tool of divination. And we'll kind of walk through a little bit about what you need to look for, or maybe know if you want to start to read the tarot yourself, or how to kind of work better with the reader if you were to be a client in your next reading. So we kind of, talk about a little bit about the basics and the energies behind it, and things that you could actually recognize and walk away with so that you get more out of your next reading.
I love that. And I think there is so much, I've been doing a lot of work around this the last couple of years, like really getting in touch with like the right questions to ask, because sometimes we're asking things that we want to answer, but we're not asking it in the right way that's going to get us like the most aligned response or like direction on how to move forward. And so I think there's so much power in like learning the right kinds of questions to ask that are going to sort of maximize the results of like an interaction if you were to get a reading. Because I even find the same thing as I'm doing, learning how to read the Akashic records. It's kind of like I'm asking these questions and I'm not getting the answers. And then I change the way I'm asking the questions and like everything opens up. So I think that's a pretty important point and awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It really does make a difference. But, even the fact of just being open and communicating, there's so many people that just come to a reading and they're sitting there and are like, well, what can you tell me? And I'm like, well, I can't just tell you, like, you have to give me information. This is like a two-way path here. It's not just me sitting here just talking and telling you everything. Another thing that a lot of people, and maybe I should put this in the workshop, but a lot of things that people don't realize is that, and I think it comes from the fact of the movies have kind of created this fortune teller vibration around tarot, and it's not really, yes, there are people that do that, but that's not the way that I provide a reading.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that you throw out cards and they're going to tell you everything.
Yes.
That you could keep asking different questions and get answers from the same 10 cards that are laying out, and that's not true.
Yeah.
It's, you asked a specific question, you're getting a specific answer.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't ask me about your love life and then ask me about your health. I don't answer health anyway, but like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, sometimes it's difficult to convey to people.
Yes. I think in the same way, like, you know, relating it back to Reiki, a lot of people come in sort of expecting that a Reiki session is going to heal all of these things. And it can be really healing. It is meant to elevate your vibration, to balance and create homeostasis between the mind, the body, and the spirit. But sometimes it doesn't fix the issue because there's work that still needs to be done, and it is a collaboration. So it's kind of like the energy will work whatever magic that it can, but it's not the be all end all, because the individual still has to do the work. They still have to heal the limiting beliefs that are keeping them stuck. They still have to create changes in their life to see something come to fruition. And so, like anything, it's always a collaboration. It's not this like one-way street where like someone is telling you what you should do and that's going to change your life.
And I think that's because we're America as a society is conditioned on Western medicine.
Yeah.
That they go with a complaint and then the problem is solved for them.
Right.
And when you tell somebody, well, I can't get rid of your pain because it goes deeper than that. Like, the pain in your fingers is manifesting because there's something suppressed or there's something you're doing that you need to change. It's not like I can, you know, wave my hands over yours and all of a sudden they're healed. Like, it goes deeper than that. And then some people like, and when you say that, they're like, what do you mean? You know, and it's like, well, yeah, I'll send you the energy, but I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Like it will work, but like, it's not the only thing that is required. Like the healing journey is about, like, Reiki or tarot might bring something to the surface that needs to be tended to. And then it's your responsibility and job to tend to it.
Exactly.
In collaboration and with support, of course, but ultimately it's like the individual's responsibility to then take that and do something with it.
Right. And that's the thing. You have to, if you're ever coming to like a tarot reading or an energy session or Reiki or whatever, you have to come prepared to do the work.
Exactly.
We're not the ones holding all of the answers.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are uncovering what it is that needs to be addressed by you, the client.
Right.
And I think that's a major misconception.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to have this talk and to help people understand sort of the power behind tarot and also Reiki, how it can really support your mind, your body, your spirit, and also like how to show up and like really be prepared to sort of do the work. There is this, you know, idea of surrender, but there is also this idea of needing to take things away and actually like take action and do something with it. I saw somebody wrote, where is the location? So it is at my Reiki studio in downtown Westfield. So when we share the information and start posting about it on social media, we'll also include that information. But if you are following me at its_zen_Jen, I already have a link set up. If you click on my link in my profile, you can find out more details about the event, when it is, what time. And if you want to register now, you're more than welcome to. It is going to be limited to, I believe, about 8 people, just to keep it more intimate. And because with Reiki, if we're going to be laying out yoga mats, we want everyone to have ample space. But I'm really excited to collab with you on this. I love tarot and I can't wait to just dive in with you and learn more.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm even thinking that I've never tried it before, but I'm gonna have to run it by you. But I've never done where most of the work I do for the energy work is not group.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if I could do like a group collective
tarot
reading and then work on the cards.
Yeah.
As like an overall collective, like what does, everybody in the room kind of generally need?
Yeah.
And maybe do energy work that way too. Could try it.
Love it. Yeah, I want to say the date we picked, it might correspond with like either a new moon or a full moon or something.
Okay.
So that could be really interesting to sort of do a collective pull around that. And I'm totally open to experimenting with that. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. 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 It's like I would love to try a collective energy session. I think that would be something just new and different. Yeah. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, it's a bonus.
Yeah. And I know you said you're also going to do kind of like a one card pull for people, so we could still do both. Like,
absolutely,
have plenty of time to do both.
Absolutely.
Yep. Cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. So you
all right.
You already listed all your websites and where everybody can find you and everything going on, right?
So
all right.
If anyone wants to learn anything more about my services, you can go to my website. It's zengen.com. Follow me on Instagram and connect with me. And if you're interested in coming to the event and have any questions, you can, message either myself or Nicole. We're happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Being patient with my little puppy over here.
Yeah, that'll be so cute. I love the animal love.
Yes. All right. So thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Talk soon.
Bye.